Race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. We're in St. Moritz in Switzerland, high in the Engadine Valley in the Swiss Alps, and the skies are starting to clear. It is a sunny lunchtime, so sun's out, guns out, up on the terraces at the start. We're ready for the first of our two heats with a 24-strong field. I'm Martin Haven, and again alongside me, Elizabeth Meyer, although last time she won a medal on this track 2 years ago, Elizabeth Farche sliding then for Canada. So Liz, what are the secrets to St. Moritz other than just relaxing and enjoying it?
St. Moritz is a super unique track that it's rebuilt every single year from snow, and then it's sprayed with water, and it creates different corners. They all have the same name. We're into Kink 1, a long straightaway into Kink 2. It's a little bit tricky to get off of Kink 1 and keep the sled nice and parallel, and now going into Wall, which is the first kind of real curve of the track, it's cut very difficult. There's a bit of a build-up at the start of the curve that pushes the athletes down. We're going to see tons of skidding and hitting coming off into Snake 1 and into Snake 2, and some athletes are getting a bit of pressure as they head into Sunny. It's a little bit off, and some taps have been happening on this right wall into Nash, then into Dixon, which sets you up for the biggest corner on this track, the speed gainer into Horseshoe, where you're going to see the athletes trying to kiss that roof, just stay off of it, into Telephone, now to Shamrock, into Devil's Dyke, which is a 3-pressure corner. They're unlike other corners that we slide on, into Nameless. Now all the right-hand corners, Tree, Bridge, Leap, and then this is Leap, and then Gunter Sachs. There are these 4 really tight right-hand corners, which is easy to get distracted in. Martineau, which is a long corner, and then the final curve is Portego. As you cross the finish line, you're going to see track records today because it does change every single year being a new track.
And the start record and the finish record was set in the Youth Olympic Games here just a week ago. The downtime record for our Youth Olympic champion, Anastasia Tisangova, Josefa Schmelmoser, who finished behind her. The leader after the first heat by 500s, dropped behind by 800s to lose the gold medal by 300ths of a second. So those are the records that stand, but we will expect athletes like this young lady, Elena Nikitina of Russia, now that she's got rid of the horrible fluey cold that she's had for the last couple of weeks, she is in a very different mood, and the sun is out as well, and that makes a big difference here.
Definitely. When the sun's out in St. Moritz, it really is magical. Someone compared it to sliding or skiing on powder in St. Moritz, or skiing on a groomer run is all the artificial tracks.
Yeah. And it's a natural track. It's built by hand every year, so it's subtly different. We'll talk about that as well as we see some of our athletes. They're warming up either on the stationary bike here or limbering up and down in the car park. It's all high-tech here, you know, icy car parks. Yep. That's the way it is. 24 sleds in the field then. Kelly Delka from Puerto Rico. Returning is Alina Tereshchenkova, who just won the Junior European Championships last week in Altenburg, where we go for the Senior Worlds in 3 weeks from now. And our World Cup points leaders are all in there as well. Jacqueline Loerling, Janine Flock, Tina Hermann, the top 3, all of whom have got great experience on this track. Race 7 of the Women's Skeleton World Cup in St. Moritz, and Puerto Rico's 31-year-old Kelly Delka, her 5th World Cup, so first World Cup season here in Europe.
She's being coached and cheered on by Rafi Meyer. They've got a bit and a start record.
Yay.
Just by 100th there. She'll be very pleased to have that yellow mark by her name.
It may not last for more than one sled, but first off, you are hoping to get a new start record. She's struggled a little bit this season. She's in a team on her own. She's got a different sled from the one that she's used for the last few seasons, and so she's trying to piece all that together.
And last season, she had to earn this World Cup spot. It's not just given to you if you've changed nations. So she worked hard to get that, and now she's been on the World Cup circuit trying to get experience. Spent a ton of time here in Sigulda, where they're headed to next week.
Well, she was on a Bromley sled a couple of weeks ago. She was saying last week in Koenigsee she was 2 seconds slower than she had been on the Bromley 2 years ago. So it's all that learning process, and then you have to learn new tracks every weekend on the new sled.
Definitely. So it is a really difficult thing. Plus, also having new coaches every single week, so you're not quite getting into a rhythm.
129.7 kilometers an hour at the bottom. That's very good speed early on in the run. We will see the track speed up a little. Ducks ahead to the line for a 1:11.97 downtime. So Kelly will be hoping to put enough speed in the sled to make the second heat. The fast 20 go through from our field of 24.
The sleds do not have brakes on them. That's why we hit the mattresses at the bottom of the track. Coming off of Dixon, just staying nice and parallel on that left wall. Little bit of a bump before she enters Horseshoe. Dropping that left toe to get her off of Horseshoe. It's a tricky curve to come off of if you don't have tons of height in the middle of the curve.
So Kelly Delka, Puerto Rico, weighing herself and the sled. And she is our first sled down. Next up, Alina Tereshchenkova, 19 years old, junior European champion from last week. 4th World Cup of her career. She raced here in last year's Junior World. She's done ICC and Europa Cup racing here as well. At a 5.30, that's a quick getaway.
Really slender athlete there on the sled. She's completely tucked inside of her bumpers. Head is nice and low.
And those bumpers, the handles that you push with at the start as well, they're tailor-made. You can bend them to fit your body perfectly.
Yes, they are tailor-made, so you're able to control the sled from that a little bit as well. Little bit of drifting and skidding from this slight athlete. Could be because of her weight. Just doesn't dig into this natural ice as it would an artificial track.
Well, Friday, the final day of training, was bright, sunny, super fast ice. Thursday, beg your pardon, Thursday, the final day. Wednesday, it snowed, so every day has been different weather this week.
Definitely. These athletes have had to adapt every single day and unsure of what it would be like on race day.
108.4 kilometers an hour, slower speed than Kelly Delka. She needs to be hitting 130 at the bottom to try and hang on to this lead. What she got, 130.5, just enough in the bank. As long as she doesn't have a big hit between Martineau and Portaga, the final corners, she should be ahead at the line, and she is. So 111.68, she is the first of our 2 athletes so far. 22 still to go, the fast 20 go through. There's the railway line that crosses the valley, the Retischaban, which goes all the way down to Chur. And a UNESCO World Heritage line. It's the most stunning train journey. So it's a busy track, this. You've got the road that goes down, the railway line that goes across, you've got the bobsleigh track and the Cresta Run beside it, all heading down the valley.
A little bit of an aggressive bump as she hits into kink 1. The athletes can choose which runner they want in the grooves to set them best up for kink. Bit of a skid here too as she heads into sunny, a really late entrance. Small skids are happening under this athlete's body.
Next up, Australia's Jackie Narracott, 36 World Cup start for the 29-year-old from Queensland.
A little bit of a slip as she gets onto the sled and a bit of a bump on kink 1.
Best race here, 8th place 2 seasons ago.
She'd really been struggling with a concussion this last summer and missed many races last year, so she's just excited to be healthy and now having one of the best seasons of her life.
Yep.
18:26, wall time.
Well, she's been a long time at Bromley Slider, same as now husband Dom Parsons.
Just a little bit late as she's entering into sunny.
A little nudge away again out of Dixon.
Just a little bit lack of control with her sled.
Horseshoe, 42.60.
Now let's see what speed she's got. 96.4, fastest so far. And it looks like the sled is loose and set up for speed, 109 kilometers an hour, quicker again than Kelly Delka of Puerto Rico. So if she gets a clean exit through these fast 4 right-handers, she should get over 130, 132.9. That's very big speed. Track record beckons. Has a big clatter between the final 2 corners, and that does not get the track record, 111.29.
She had really great speed at the bottom of the track. Not massive speed coming out of Horseshoe, but really accelerated the sled, kept the sled nice and parallel through those 4 right-handed corners.
Well, the fact that the track record is at 111.04, still quarter of a second quicker than we've gone, shows us how fast the track, and tells us a bit about the weather as well in the Youth Olympic Games.
Hey, hi, Mom and Dad. Big hi to Mom and Dad. Coming off of sunny here. Bit of a tap just before Nash, which is really difficult to get that back under control before Dixon. Little bit low in Horseshoe. You'd want to see her almost a sled length higher to really get the most speed into telephone. Really early entry into telephone that could bump her down a little bit.
Well, so many of these names, historic names. Telephone, that was where you rang the start if you crashed in the olden days to tell them you'd crashed. Next up is Elena Nikitina, 49th World Cup start for Elena. And she has now 8 wins, including 2 this year. And a brand new start record, 5:09.
Not a huge surprise coming from this athlete. She is consistently quick on the start. Really composed on the sled. She's come a long way with her driving abilities as well.
Silver medalist here last year behind winner Mimi Reneva of Canada.
Nice. A little bit of a skid there before Sunny and a tap as well.
Yeah, wall is one of those corners that has been causing problems through Snake.
Little bit of skids sideways. You can see her toes tapping behind her to try to get control of the sled.
Speed in the forest. Who's going to be the first to 98 kilometers an hour? We're getting closer and closer. Big speed here from the Russian. 7/10 up, 1:09.6. Quicker again than Jackie Narracott. She should be our leader at the line by a clear second over the Aussie.
A little bit of skids, some taps happening.
Not as quick, she's losing speed. You can hear the chin and the toes dragging. And again between Martineau and Portago. 1:10.58, so a new track record by half a second nearly inside the old track record. Again, as we say, you know, the track record is established every single season, and every year we throw the old one away and start again because the track is different.
And we'll see it probably drop a couple more times yet too, potentially. Start record, I think, will be tricky to get until maybe Nikitina's second run.
Well, in the men's competition, we didn't see the track speed up. We were questioning whether the Swiss had put in an extra corner or two to make it longer and slower in the second run.
Little bit skiddy there into Horseshoe. You're wanting to get as close as you can to that roof without tapping it. She gets nice and high, maybe a little bit higher she could do next run. And as she comes off of Martineau into Portago, big push away, and I think she also taps on that left side just out of view.
Yeah. You often see a little bit of ice fly up in front of the camera. So Elena Nikitina with a new start and a new track record. Next up, Jacqueline Loerling of Germany. 3rd place here last year. She's our world champion. Still just 24 years old. So much potential ahead of this young lady.
And also a Youth Olympic Games medalist. She has come a long way on her start. Maybe it doesn't seem super impressive, but she has made huge leaps and bounds. With the new weight rule coming in, she was having to lose weight so that she could still compete in the sport. She is 6/10 back here at the start, but the Germans know where to find speed here. We saw it with the boys in the first race this morning.
Won the season opener in Lake Placid, a real driver's track where you fight the sled for every inch of the way, and took a second win in Innsbruck, a glider's track, and this is more like Innsbruck except twice as long.
Definitely, it is a glider's track. She's clawing back a little. 99.1 out of Horseshoe is massive speed.
And in the second heat, we may see the girls hit 100 kilometers an hour. That's not uncommon at all as the track speeds up.
She's found 3/10 so far. Oh.
She's 3 kilometers an hour quicker than Nikitina, and straight as an arrow down the middle of the long straight. 1:35 kilometers an hour. Insane speed. She's clean at the line. New track record. 1:10.24.
This is the speeds that we were seeing the boys do this morning.
Yeah. And the men should have been quicker in the second heat. They weren't. So what is 135.6? That is 84.2 miles an hour. Thank you very much. Chin, I was going to say an inch off the ice. Here it's not, is it? Because it's smooth. You can let your helmet hang lower.
A little bit messy at the top of the track coming off of wall. She doesn't quite cut that and make it in a perfect straightaway. Nash Dixon also not as clean as we're used to seeing.
Well, we're used to seeing the German women finish in the podium.
Yep.
German men got silver and bronze in the men's race earlier, so it's already been a big day for them. What about Switzerland's Marina Gilardoni? Her teammate didn't make the second heat.
Just a quick toe tap there.
66th World Cup race as a skeleton slider. She started in bobsleigh, 12 World Cup races, 2 Junior World Championship gold medals.
This is her second year on this equipment, and she's really starting to flow with it and find the speed in it. It's tricky to switch equipment and expect results in the same year, so it's cool to see her kind of start to accelerate with the sled.
She was on the podium here in January 2016 in the European Championship. She got the bronze medal behind winner Janine Flock and silver medalist Tina Hermann, and she's getting back to that sort of pace again.
And although she's a Swiss athlete, they don't really have home track advantage.
They build the track in November and early December. It's not really open for sliding much before Christmas, by which time they're on the Europa or the World Cup trail somewhere. 109.8, good speed, but nothing like Jacqueline Loerling. So her advantage at the start has gone away, and she'll be somewhere around Elena Nikitina, battling for second and third. At the line, what she got, third place, 6,300s back.
Not a bad run by Miranda Chardonnens at all, especially on the top of the track.
Yeah, good starting speed, 5:28. Not quite where she was at the peak of her powers, but she kept her lead all the way down below Horseshoe.
Coming out of that groove, there's a little bit of a bump, so she drops her left toe to try not to drive too much onto kink 1. Here into Horseshoe, the nice and high, could be a little bit more, but she is on stiff equipment, so it is difficult to get that height in comparison to a looser setup.
We're talking about stiff equipment. Predominantly, sleds like the Schneider sled are less flexible. They sort of work a little less easily across the corners, and the Bromleys tend to be a little more relaxed, so it's a different sliding style. Next up, Kendall Wessenberg for the USA. The noise you can hear is from the family and the fan club up at the top, overlooking the start in the sunshine.
A little bit of trouble getting that right hand tucked under her leg.
7th place here in last year's race.
And she's a medal winner here from a few years back.
Yeah, took a silver medal in 2017, and that is her career high.
She's very relaxed and composed on this track.
And that's what you need. If you're tense, like Felix Kaiser, who admitted to being in the first heat in the men's race, it just shows everywhere.
Definitely. Nice exit off of Sunny. You can see her looking around Dixon to get a good entry into Horseshoe. You can see here the chin of her helmet dragging on the ice. Great speed. Only slower than Jacqueline Loerling.
All right, so she's closing the gap down a little, not on Loerling, but on second and third places. 1:12.1, only Loerling a fraction quicker. 1:35.6 at the bottom is the highest speed. 1:35.1, she's very close indeed. Kendall driving herself from a 7th place start, potentially into the top 3 again.
Yep.
Third of the line. That's a really nice side, and this is the sort of track that I'm sure she wishes there were just a few more of. Long tracks where the start is less of a factor.
Definitely. She's been successful here before and in Lake Placid, which are both drivers' tracks. She is an incredible pilot, and it really does show in these.
135.1. What's that? 135.1 at the bottom.
39th World Cup race for Kendall Wessenberg.
Nice
Great
height.
height.
Yeah. And she's just chill. She's not even looking. Her head's down.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to look for the exit. Just trust her abilities and her experience.
And that's track knowledge, isn't it?
Yes.
When you know where you are because you know where you are, rather than having to look. Another woman who knows where she is, like Alana Myers-Taylor, this is a happy place for Mimi Reneva in all sorts of the spiritual side of it that we talk about. Being in the trees, in nature, and just the kind of almost holistic nature of this track. Just seems to suit her so well. Twice a winner in the last 3 years.
Her first World Cup win was on this track. She's also won Europa Cups here.
Yeah. Well, her World Cup win 3 years ago now, she won by 1.8 seconds over Kendall Wessenberg.
Yep.
You were 4th there.
I know.
2 whole seconds back. I mean, that's the whole field in most races.
She did say she was struggling a little bit at the top of the track, and she had a bit of a messy entrance into Sunny there, but drove it very well around.
Yeah, she's 3,200s up already. So she is in the zone, isn't she?
Definitely heads down, completely composed. 99 flat out of there.
Last year's race winner, this is her 30th World Cup start. Look at the speeds. 1:11.5, she's about half a kilometre an hour away from Jacqueline Loerling, the leader, so the gap will come down potentially, but nice and clean. Onto Sachs, great run down the straight, 1:34.5. She should still have the lead at the line. Little nudge away. It's going to be close. Few hundreds. 400s in it.
Big cheer from Coach John Farrow.
Yeah, rightly so. 5:27 start and a 1:10.20.
It was a really nice run from Mimi. A little bit of issues around Sunny, but other than that, it was a really nice run. She's one of the fastest starters, really quick.
Interesting technique off the block. First couple of steps to get her going, and then you just see the supercharger cutting in, don't you?
Yes, very nice. Good height and horseshoe, could be a little bit higher, but she's so relaxed.
Yeah. When it flows, and it may well be flowing for Mimi again today. Well, for Anna Fehn-Stettever, we've already talked about Kelly Delka changing nations and then having to earn the spot. Anna Fehn-Stettever had to do the same when she left Germany and started sliding for the Czech Republic. 5:65 for her, so her first season on tour as a Czech athlete.
And she's also on new equipment again this year. She switched sleds from the Dukers now to a Schneider, so she's just trying to groove and figure out if this is the quicker sled for her.
2019 Junior World Champion on this track. She's had 2 bronze medals in her World Cup career, but her best race here in 2018, 5th position for Germany.
She's having a nice top part of the track. She's not the quickest on the start, but she is an incredible pilot and is able to find speed, similar to her old teammates that were Germans.
Yeah, very relaxed on the sled.
A little bit down in speed in comparison to the athletes that have gone before her, in part probably due to the start velocity.
And again, everybody's been gambling a little, trying to guess what the weather was going to do today. I'm sure most of the men expected it to get quicker today. It didn't. I'm not sure what the women were expecting in terms of weather.
They could maybe watch the men's race and make a decision from there.
I'm sure everybody was up at the start way before they needed to be. There's Jeff Payne, who's now helping out with coaching some of the smaller nations. He's helping Leslie Stratton of Sweden, as you can see from the jacket. 1:11.05, so 9th at the start, 6th at the bottom. And again, that German training, she's from Koenigsee initially, teaches her how to find speed down the track.
Big heart for the camera. You can see that right toe just tapping, trying to bring the sled back into parallel. When the sled wavers like that, you're cutting more ice than accelerating.
Little skid, but she still gets a left hand to middle entrance into horseshoe.
It's difficult with these stiffer sleds to get lots of height. You'd want to be about a half sled length higher to really accelerate out of there.
There's the fan club up at the top of the track, and they are supporting as well for Megan Henry, the 32-year-old American. 7th World Cup start for her, so first World Cup campaign. Her best so far, bronze medal, stunning result in Innsbruck and 5:28 getaway. Her start really helped her there because, like this track, she's got little knowledge of most of Europe.
She's really composed on this sled, and she's riding a little bit of a high. She also finished top 6 last week in Koenigsee, which is not necessarily a glider's track. It is a driver's track.
Well, she raced here in the Intercontinental Cup, the 2nd tier of sliding in 2018, so relatively recent experience.
You can hear her toes just tapping on the ice a little bit as she goes down the track.
Again, you saw her steering with the head to get that left-hand entrance into horseshoe.
A skeleton athlete steers with their head, shoulders, knees, and toes, so when you see that head moving, they are steering and making an impact on the sled.
97.3 kilometers an hour. Now 1:09.9, about 2 kilometers an hour down.
Just bleeding a little bit of speed from that start.
3rd fastest off the start. She's currently looking at 4th. You can hear the whistle of the helmet. That's the only noise just about from the athlete down that straight. And across the line, 6th position, a 1:10.90. Again, only the 7th World Cup start. Mimi Reniva, for instance, 20 World Cups. Marina Gilardoni, 66. Jacqueline Loerling, 37. So she's giving away a huge amount of experience, full stop. Never mind experience on these very distinctive tracks.
Definitely, and it's a completely different thing to be on World Cup because you are at a new track every single week. A little bit of pressure left over from wall, which is what bumps her into that right side. She's a small athlete, so when they hit bumps, it does send them a little bit squirrely.
So Megan Henry of the USA rounds out our first 10 sliders. She is in 6th position. Mimi Reniva, a 2-time winner, is the leader. Beautiful St. Moritz, high in the Swiss Alps. We're in the Engadine Valley in the 7th race of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and Elizabeth Meyer watching Kim Meylemans of Belgium off the line.
Kim has come a long way on her start. To only be 700ths away from Mimi is an incredible thing for her.
From Belgium.
That's a good, strong start, and she is a cool, calm and relaxed slider. 37th World Cup start. She's only 23.
Totally relaxed on the sled. A little bit of a bump there. She did come from the German program. That is where she originally learned to slide, was in Königssee and Berchtesgaden.
Best result here came last year in 12th place.
She is on new equipment again this year, back to her Schneider sled after taking a break with a Bromley last year.
So medium high line horseshoe. What's the speed like? 98.5, 99.1 is the fastest. 111.1, 1.1 Ks off former teammate Jacqueline Loerling.
Nice lines coming off of Gunter Sachs.
Decent speed as well, 133 kilometers an hour. Top 6 run coming from Kim Meylemans of Belgium at the line, 5th place ahead of Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland, and 5900s back. That is a very good run from little Kim.
And she's working with new coach this week, Raffi Meyer.
Do you know him?
Maybe.
Brother-in-law Raphael Meyer, that is. For those who aren't aware, Liz married to Benny Meyer, the bobsled member of the family.
Really great job for Kim. Comes off of wall and just a tiny tap before hitting into snake. You really need to cut that corner this year to be able to get a nice straightaway. A little bit of a bump there that sends the athlete's shoulders kind of jiggling off the sled. And a tiny tap, and I think she also taps on that left side before heading into Portego.
Yeah, you see the ice flying up in front of the camera there in the slow-mo. Good anticipation, but a great run into 5th. Well, lots of red and white. Next for Austria's Janine Flock. This is a landmark for her 80th World Cup race. Still just 30 years old. 6 wins in her career, including the European Championships here 3 seasons ago. Last year she was in 6th place.
This is also a magical place for Janine. She has been very successful here in the past.
5:38, that's the 7th fastest start. Again, long, rangy athlete. Learned to slide in Innsbruck where aerodynamic form and not moving on the sled is absolutely critical, and that is why she's so good here. It pays off so well.
Definitely. A little bit of a skid as she entered into Sunny. But you're right, her toes are completely together, shoulders are glued to the sled, head is just looking where she needs to go, really close to that roof there.
And Janine, it's like watching the 3rd Dukas brother, isn't it?
Definitely, and she has been training with the Latvians this year. She spent a lot of time in the summer in Sigulda, learning from them.
Just flowing so well. Still 2 tenths behind Mimi Reniva, but the speed is good. It's almost as quick as the Germans. 135's here. What she got? 135.2. This is going to be very close to the line. From 2100s back, there's no nudge. Could be within a 10th. She is within a 10th. That's a fantastic run from Janine Flock. And again, the girls who turn it on are really on it. 500s covering the top 3. Mimi Reniva, Jacqueline Loerling, Janine Flock. The 3 athletes who barely even breathe on the sled.
Definitely. That was a very good run from Janine. A little bit of issues coming off of Snake 2, trying to stay off that right wall, and it puts her sled into a bit of a skid, which will slow down the sled. She almost hits the roof there.
Wow.
I don't think you can get any closer than that. That is her experience on this track, and it just pushes her so nicely off. She doesn't even look.
That's real height there.
Yes.
Okay, next up, Tina Hermann of Germany. Now, we talked about Jacqueline Loerling, Janine Flock, Mimi Reniva being pretty still. You always say Tina is always wriggling on the sled. Let's see if she lives up to her billing here.
Yeah, you can see her head already moving and that right toe tapping. Moves the head to left, moves the head to the right.
Now, is it constant adjustments because she's feeling more movement in the sled or because she's dealing with it faster?
I don't know, maybe a little bit of a perfectionist, just trying to keep the line exactly where she wants to. And an athlete finds a way they like to drive and they stick to it. So with her head, that is probably her main thing to steer with.
Never a winner here, but silver medals in 2018 and in the Europeans in 2016.
A little bit of a toe tap to get off of Horseshoe. Sometimes those FES sleds need to drop some toes to get off the line.
And look at the speed, 99.5, fastest of all. This is what Tina does. She's almost always fastest down below Horseshoe. 1:12.5, quicker than anybody else, quicker than Jacqueline Loerling. Quicker than Mimi Reneva, the current leader. 1:35.6 is top speed. 1:36.0. She's in the green, and she misses the touch. Track record on the way for Tina Hermann of Germany, our new leader.
Really great run by Tina.
Well, still accelerating through that speed trap at 136 kilometers and growing the speed, 85 miles an hour, and still accelerating. This is a ridiculously fast track.
Definitely. She isn't necessarily the quickest on the start, but she's always able to find speed at the bottom of the track. You can see her head and her toe bumping away from that kink one. An athlete steers with the head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Could be maybe a little bit higher in Horseshoe and drops that left toe to get the sled off the line. But she's still at great speed on the exit.
3,100 slower than the fastest starter, Elena Nikitina, finished 5,300s ahead of the Russian. Madeleine Smith of Great Britain, 9th here last year, her first World Cup start in St. Moritz. 6th in the Junior Worlds the year before. This is her 16th World Cup start.
A little bit of snow came off her shoe when she dropped that left toe. We have hundreds of little spikes on the bottom of our shoes so that we're able to run on the ice, and then there's plastic toe covering so we're able to drop our toes and steer that way.
600ths of a second in the lead. She outstarted Tina Hermann, but she's now got to outdrive one of the very best in the business.
Fighting hard to stay off that right wall before going into Sunny, which makes a very abrupt entrance.
Well, this used to be very much the home of British sliding. Nash and Dixon, after whom the two corners are named there, were members of the St. Moritz Bob Club. They won Olympic gold in '64. They won the two-man World Championship gold here in '65.
Just doesn't have quite the speed coming out of Horseshoe, and now as well these Black Rock sleds appear to be just bleeding speed the whole way down the track.
Yeah, this has got to be a worry really for the British sliders, perhaps not quite so much in Altenburg, but on the long fast tracks they don't hit the speeds even when it looks like a clean run. That may be partly athlete choice, might be partly material in the runners, but there's something there that is just not quite chiming with them. 1:11.19. So she started 700s quicker than Tina Hermann and came down 1.14 seconds slower. And the speeds, 1:32 at the bottom, 4 kilometers an hour shy. So for their performance director there at the bottom, there's definitely work to be doing at Black Rock.
Really quick starter. She loads onto the sled. You're trying to get that knee on first so that you can accelerate more, get the momentum going forward. Gets her hands tucked in underneath her legs. There's little handles there for the athletes to hold on to. And as she drops her toe, some snow falls off.
So Madeleine Smith from the West Midlands of the UK. Next up, Sophia Griebel, 39th World Cup start. And Sophia, 5th place here last year, her career best result in St. Moritz. We've just seen Felix Kaiser and Axel Jung inspire the Germans by taking silver and bronze in the men's race, beaten only by 7-time winner Martin Stuckurs.
Nice entry into kink one. You can see her head is also wriggling a little bit, just similar to her teammates of Tina.
You can see that as a result, the sled just tracking very slightly left and right. She may well have gone for a tiny contact patch on the sled to go for speed further down the track, and that gives you less grip early on.
It is that balancing point, trying to find what you can control and what is fast.
What you give away at the top compared to the rewards you reap further down at the really quick parts.
Setting
Coming down to Horseshoe, nice left-hand line. That should shoot her up high, and it does. Dives out neatly into Telephone. It's a nice soft landing there this year, isn't it?
Definitely. Sometimes it can be really tricky exiting Horseshoe. Some gnarly hits can happen, but not happening this year.
98.6 is good speed there. 111.2. That's not bad either. Tina Hermann is the rocket ship below the Horseshoe. Good speed from Sophia Griebel, 8th at the start. She's aiming for a top 6 run, but a hit on the wall there and on the inside, not going to help her. 8th place it is.
A little bit messy there, just at the bottom of the track, couple taps.
200s behind Kim Meylemans and 6 ahead of Marina Gilardoni. It's another tight battle outside the top half dozen. Well, she could move up to match last year's 5th position. So a lot of changes around in the men's race.
Coming off of wall, you can see she's steering so hard that right leg pops up to try to prevent that hit. And then nice height into Horseshoe. Really don't want to be too much higher than that, otherwise you will be kissing that roof.
I was thinking Kirsten Jurgens coming off there and just slamming into the short wall. That was a really nasty looking crash. So Sophia Griebel is down. Next up is Canada's Jane Channell, 45th World Cup start for her, another landmark, 13th place last year, but her best 7th place finish in 2015.
One of the quickest starters in the field, only second behind Nikitina.
Not fighting the sled as it just tracks a little bit left to right.
Sometimes you just got to let the sled move and not fight it.
Yeah, anytime you breathe there, it's going to break into a skid, isn't it?
Yes, a bit of a tap there. She comes out of wall.
Nice out of Snake. What about the exit from Sunny? Does she get away without the tap on the right? Yes, she just about does. On to Nash and Dixon.
Her toes just tapping behind her, trying to get that perfect line that she wants.
Gets decent height, dives nicely out through Telephone, Shamrock, then Devil's Dyke. Speed is decent, 97.7, but she's dropping behind Tina Hermann, the leader. And from here on, you need real turbochargers to try and catch the German.
Definitely need to be perfect at the bottom of the track to try to gain that speed back.
131.9, no touch here, just about gets away with it. Little clip on the inside wall in Portago, 10th at the line. 700s behind Sophia Griebel and 100 behind Marina Gilardoni. She's also 200s ahead of the USA's Megan Henry. So that group, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, starting to get tighter and tighter.
Not used to seeing races this tight here in St. Moritz over a long track. Just coming off of wall, has to fight off that right slider's right side. Into Horseshoe, decent height, could be maybe half a sled length higher to really get that speed. She's a couple kilometers down on the exit of Horseshoe, and that could potentially be why.
Little rub down in the faster parts of the track, all taking speed out of the sled. Tina Hermann leads from Mimi Reneva and Jacqueline Loerling. Savannah Griebel of the USA, 14th last year in this race here in St. Moritz. This is race 7 of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and Elizabeth Meyer watching the American slider.
Really fighting off that right side. Sometimes it's difficult on this track that once you tap the wall once, it kind of pushes you back in. It's a bit of a weird vortex you kind of get stuck in.
Yeah, it's made of ice, but apparently that's magnetic too to sleds.
I think so. Little bit of a bump there into Snake 2.
'15th at the start, out to 16th position at the moment. Needs to have a good exit from Horseshoe, doesn't have much height.
No, really low into Horseshoe. Decent speed though, considering.
But clatters the wall again.
Maybe she's on a bit looser setup, a little bit less contact on the ice.
109.7, that's 4 kilometers an hour down, nearly 3 kilometers down. 132.9, empirically it's still quick, but it's shy of her rivals ahead of her. And this is going to leave her in 15th place at the line. So she's got a couple of sleds behind her. Alina Tereshchenkova of Russia and Kelly Delka of Puerto Rico. Not guaranteed yet to make the second heat. See how warm it's getting. No coat, no hat for Coach Tuffy Latour.
51 start.
Just a little bit messy kind of the whole way up, but she was quite flat here in horseshoe, and sometimes you get a little bit of an extra pickup, which puts an aggressive cross into telephone, and it's hard to continue accelerating the sled at that point. Tap on the slider's right wall just before entering Devil's Dyke.
All right, well, sun's out and the track is hopefully going to speed up. This is Laura Dees of Great Britain, came here last year but did not race. The 31-year-old now starting her 46th World Cup race. But our Olympic bronze medalist from Pyeongchang, not in top sliding form this season, and again a bit of a big hit on the kink.
She has medaled here in the past, but she's been really struggling this year to find her form and get back to that Olympic medal winning position that she has been in the past.
Yeah, bronze medalist behind winner Janine Flock and silver medalist Elizabeth Fache, as she was then, who's sitting beside me back in 2015.
Just fighting the sled a little bit here at the top of the track.
Heading into Nash and Dixon, a little bit centre, and then drifting over to the left. That's where she wants to be for good heights. Let's see what she's got down in the forest.
Not the fastest speed that we've seen these athletes come down in today, even though she's having quite a good run.
Well, currently off the 9th fastest start. She was 9th at Horseshoe, drifting out now to 11th. And I'm afraid, like her teammates in the British squad, not finding the speed on the Blackrock sled. 132.7.
You can hear the chin piece of her helmet just dragging a little bit as she reaches for the finish line.
12th place at the line. There's Marcus Wyatt, who finished in the top 10 in the men's race. Interesting to look back actually and see what speeds the men were producing. Not an awful lot quicker. So Laura Dees, 12th place behind Megan Henry and ahead of Anna Fenn-Stetova.
Bit of an aggressive bump on that slider's right-hand side. Kink 1 is an interesting corner because it's not really a corner and you have to somehow get around it. Into Horseshoe, you can see her head just to the right side, kind of as a counter steer so you don't get too much cross into telephone.
Next up is our 19th starter, the third of the British sliders. This is 31-year-old Kimberly Murray from the Isle of Wight. 11th World Cup race for her. Best here, 10th place last season. And she wasn't in the World Cup last week. She was in the Intercontinental Cup races. She claimed gold in Lake Placid, so she flew from Europe to America and back again. She still doesn't know what day of the week it is.
Keeping her eyes completely tracked on where she wants to go into wall that allows her to relax and not have to overdrive the sled.
So 2 weeks ago, we were on the gliders track in Innsbruck. Then she went to Roughy Tufty Lake Placid. Now she's back in super smooth, don't you dare move, St. Moritz. It's a tough life being a slider sometimes.
You can see her just relaxing and taking what the sled is giving her. She's not fighting the sled a ton.
Well, that's why she was in the lead coming out of Nash and Dixon, but now 96.9 to 99.5 for Tina Hermann. Again, down on speed out of Horseshoe. Is it the low line that's making the difference?
Definitely a lot of questions on where the speed is going for these British athletes.
Again, she's working hard on the sled. You can see her knees way apart. 132.3. Where's she going to be at the line? Well, she is just behind Laura Dees by 0.05 of a second. Maddie Smith in 15th. But not one of the three GB sleds in the top 10.
But also being jet-lagged coming back from Lake Placid.
Yeah, probably not the greatest start, yeah.
Jet-lagged and then come to a super high elevation and try to get it all figured out. Coming off of wall, just a bit of a skid and into a tap before heading into snake 1, and then coming off of snake 2, a little bit of a skid as well. You can see her toes trying to prevent that.
And you might ask, why was she flown over to America to do the Intercontinental Cup? Because you earn overall ranking points for that, and it's all about trying to keep your allocation of sleds in the World Cup. Next up, Yulia Nikitina of Russia, junior world champion from 2017. The 24-year-old still eligible for junior worlds in her 32nd World Cup start.
She's also kind of had an interesting season this year, hasn't been quite as strong as we've seen her in the past.
And again, for the first time this weekend, sort of smiling and looking clear-headed. She's had the awful coldy, fluey thing that everybody's had in the Russian squad for at least the last 2 weeks.
It's so difficult to compete when you've got a head cold. Any curves with pressure, it's not fun.
Well, plus your brain has got to think, and that's hard enough when you're bunged up, and then you've got to do it at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah. It's not fun.
Not fun at all. Plus being out in the freezing temperatures in what amounts to little more than a bathing suit. 1700s back. Third fastest start, but 10th place coming off horseshoe.
No, quite a low line for the athlete in horseshoe. Just isn't able to accelerate the sled. Also, she is a slighter athlete, and you can see the sleds kind of skidding underneath her.
Best result here has been 18th place. That was 2 years ago. And at the moment, she's going to improve on that. Maybe 13th, 14th at the line. Where does she end up? 17th. Ooh, lost speed down the straight.
That final split is a really long split, and that is where sometimes races are won and lost.
Yeah. Frequently see in the final corners, leads appear from nowhere or vanish into nowhere. It's not all done once you get out of the final speed trap. They're still accelerating all the way down.
Coming off of wall just a little bit with that left toe tap, and you can see the sled breaks into a skid as she leans away from the curve, as well as going into sunny. She's just a little bit skiddy and a little bit off her line.
And all of that speed at the start bleeds away there so quickly. Well, the sun is making Samaritz look beautiful. 20 sliders down. Tina Hermann, the leader, the final 4 to go. 21st to the start, Valentina Margalio, 9th World Cup for the 26-year-old Italian. Raced in the Europa Cup races in Altenburg last week, just to get a bit more track experience for the World Championships.
She's one of the quickest starters, the second behind Elena Nikitina. And she's starting to flow with the driving, starting to kind of figure it out, but she is a relatively new athlete.
17th here last year, so by right, she should make the field, but nothing is guaranteed.
Definitely. Italy has really tried to boost their program in these last couple of years. We're seeing lots of new athletes, lots of new faces.
Again, she's working hard on the set. She's always busiest, and she always says she reminds me of Katie Eulander. With a sort of knees-wide steering stance. Only 900s in the lead, but she still had the lead out to horseshoe. For the youngster, this is a really good-looking run.
Definitely not quite the speed that we've seen from other athletes coming out of horseshoe.
Yeah, 3.5 Ks down. Tina Hermann had 136 kilometers an hour. She's rocking all over the place. Out of leap and into sacks. 129.6 is still decent speed, a top 10 run. She is 15th, 111.13. And she was the leader still at horseshoe. And that means that she is in the race. Kelly Delka of Puerto Rico is out, I'm afraid. And on the bubble now is Alina Tereshchenko.
Definitely room for improvement for that second heat. A little bit squirrely down the track.
Well, she knows where it all went away. Low line in horseshoe.
Really low line in horseshoe. And with that, it's easy to get a second pickup or a second pressure, and it really, you can see the sled break out. She's trying not to hit into telephone.
Huge skid there, and down at the bottom as well. Big flop here, and we've not seen anybody hit right going into sacks.
Just a little bit out of control at the bottom of the track.
But it's only 70 miles an hour, so it probably hardly hurt at all. Next up for Canada, Madison Charney, 10th World Cup start for Maddie, 25 years old.
A little bit of a step out just before she loaded onto the sled.
Hasn't raced here since 2018. She did the Intercontinental Cup and Junior Worlds here.
This is her first full season on World Cup, so she's just starting to get used to having a new track every single week and what that all takes.
And the key result here for her will be to try and make the cut. She was 16th off the start blocks. Not a lot of room to play with.
nice line into Nash and into Dixon.
And actually she's looking pretty relaxed, isn't she? Nice left-hand line.
You can see that left elbow just poking out just a little bit, trying to get her off of Horseshoe.
97Ks to 99.95 of Tina Hermann, but that's about spot on for this part of the field.
Into these quick right-hand corners, try to stay as parallel and early in that left side to the athletes as she goes into them.
She's still in the race. Good speed at the bottom here will help her. 132.1. Got to stay clean. Drives it out to the line. Is she in or is she out? She's in 19th. 1:11.31. And out goes Elena Tereshchenko. So now on the bubble in 20th place, the USA's Savannah Griebel. So Maddie Charney potentially is in. There are 2 to go. She's 19th, and only the top 20 go through.
Just coming off of wall, these athletes are going to have to try to cut that corner to not get that tap. And she's steering hard, but doesn't quite get it on line. A little bit late into Sunny, which is where you see that sled like whip, and it's almost like a skate stop as she enters into the curve.
2 to go. Lin Wei Yang of China, 21 years old. Only raced here in the Europa Cup 3 seasons ago in 2017. This is her 7th World Cup start. Well, the Chinese men both finished in the top 10. Very strong races. You can see them banging on the hoardings there at the start for Yan and Geng.
She is a new athlete. And the goal is obviously not this World Cup, it is the Olympics in 2022.
Yeah. And the coaches, Willie Schneider and particularly Andy Schmidt, who's heading up the program, trying to take as much pressure off the athletes as they can, put as little weight of expectation on them other than to learn.
And with St. Moritz, you're learning a new style of driving because we have no idea what the Beijing track will be like and how you will need to drive it.
Well, we hear it's going to be long, it's going to be fast. It'll be the first one in a long while built as an Olympic track that will have a kreisel, and it will be the biggest kreisel ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen a picture. It's crazy.
It could be highly entertaining. 6200's back in 20th place at the moment. It's her or Savannah Griebel. Can she keep
not
herself
have
in?
the speed coming out of here at the bottom of the track.
No. Struggling for pace. You can hear the toes dragging. She's just making tiny corrections all the way down.
And a big skid right before she heads into Gunter Sachs.
1:29.4, 1:36.0 the fastest speed. Double tap in Martineau and Portago, and at the line, 23rd, 1:12.15. But again, it's all vital learning. So Lin Huiyang of China comes across the line in 23rd place. She does not make the cut. And that means Leslie Stratton, the final slider, or Savannah Griebel will make the race.
Really late into Nash, which puts her into quite a bit of a skid and a tap before Dixon. Really big skid as well before heading into Gunter Sachs, especially on those right-hand corners at the bottom of the track. Once you're offline, it is so difficult to bring it back.
Yeah. Final slide then. Leslie Stratton woke up sick this morning, which is a real shame because she was in good form yesterday. Let's see if she can bust into the field here. 24th and final slider, 27-year-old from Sweden. Her 6th World Cup start and gets bumped away off the zero kink.
You can see her toes tapping behind her, trying to bring that sled back online. It's really...
And again, those magnets in the wall just drawing her in.
It's really difficult once you take a tap in the kinks to try to bring it back online.
And part of it is that your eyes are constantly looking at the wall, and so nervously your head is turned and your body is turned and it's drifting you back there.
Late into Nash, she'll have to fight to stay off that wall into Dixon.
Medium height in Horseshoe. Good exit down into Telephone and Shamrock. 96.3 kilometers an hour. She's going to struggle to make the race in the bottom half of the track.
Really difficult after that top part to try to bring the speed back.
Plus also when you wake up feeling wretched, you probably didn't sleep well either. And that makes it hard to bring your A game. 1:31 down at the bottom. That's not bad speed at all, but is it going to be enough to push her into the race ahead of Savannah Griebel? It is not. Across the line with a 1:12.37.
I feel with Leslie, we kind of saw two different runs at the top of the track. Didn't appear to have much control, but once those right-hand curves started happening, she was in control of the sled and really started to accelerate and keep a decent speed in that final speed trap.
Yeah. Well, her folks here, as they were in Koenigsegg last weekend.
Just coming off of that kink. It's not even
that's
that
a big hit as well, isn't it? There's a little bit of ripple of wall sticking out.
Yeah, a bit of a fillet and just kind of pushes her away, and it's really hard to see that in your peripherals. Then at the bottom of the track, she's able to keep the sled quite parallel, nice and middle into Gunter Sachs.
Well, not really able to enjoy the sunny weather here in St. Moritz today. At the top of the leaderboard, though, Tina Hermann of Germany. She leads a tight pack behind her. Mina Reniva in the silver, 1500s back. Jacqueline Loerling, 1900s back. Janine Flock, 210s back. From the top four will come the medals, but Tina Hermann, who has not won on this track, is looking strong after the first of our two heats. Two silver medals in the last four races for Tina Hermann, her best results. She leads from double winner Mimi Reniva, Jacqueline Loerling, Janine Flock. Loerling's never won on this track either. So if either of the German girls comes out on top, we will have a first-time winner. Elena Nikitina in fifth looks to be a little far away, half a second back, and some big gaps and some tiny ones further down the field as well. So 20th, Savannah Griebel is in the race, but Elena Tereshchenko, Kelly Delka, Linwei Yang and Leslie Stratton do not make it through into the second and deciding heat in St. Moritz. The sleds will be on ice at 2:30 local, 13:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Join Elizabeth Meyer, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew for all the action. We'll be back shortly in just over 30 minutes here in sunny St. Moritz.